Hey, Christy here from Looming Crafty Fiber Arts. Today I want to show you how to loom knit the mock crochet waffle stitch. This is a design that I did on the loom, and it turned out looking like a lot like a waffle stitch, and someone in my LC Fiber Arts group mentioned that, so after some debate and asking some questions, this is what I decided to name it. This stitch is very textured again. You know me, if you follow me very much, I like textured stitches. And it's a 6-row repeat. This is a number 3 weight yarn on a 3/8 gauge Cindywood loom. You can do this with any weight of yarn on any loom. It might be a little more difficult with a heavier weight like a 6 weight, but you could try it. But it would definitely work up to a 5 with no problems, I would think. Okay, so this has got some depth to it. It looks almost like the middle right here and the indentation is like it's pushed down, kind of. It looks like a little divot there. And you can see if you look, it's kind of down a little bit. So it's got some depth to it and raised texture. As you can see, like this. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate on a half gauge loom with a number 4 weight yarn. And I think I mentioned it is a 6-row repeat. And I've just cast on, this is a flat panel only. I haven't tried it in the round yet. And someone asked me that. Thank you for asking me. I will be working on that and see what I can come up with and post a round version later if it's possible. But for now, we're just going to do flat panel. So I have cast on 8 pegs, 6 pegs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm using my end pegs as turning pegs, and I'm just U-wrapping them when I finish my row, which I'm slipping them is what you call it. So the actual stitch design will be these 4 pegs right here I'll be showing you. And we're going to get started. Row 1, peg 1, you slip. And then peg 2, we're going to knit, E-wrap, knit stitch. So if you never E-wrapped before, you come from your last peg here that you slipped. Slipping means you just ignore it, you don't wrap it, you don't do anything to it, just pretend it's not there. Some people call it 0 peg, but you're going to slip that first peg, and we're going to go from around the back side of your second peg, and we're going around the front and do a little E, and then we're going to knit that off, and that is your first stitch after you slip this one. For your third peg, we're going to do an E-wrap again, and we're going to purl over. So to purl over, now the original purl over, I've mentioned this before, is a flat wrap that I've seen, like in the tiny heart stitch. And I usually do mine in E-wrap because I don't like doing flat wraps really personally myself, but if it's your thing, that's fine. Everybody has their own, what they prefer. And I like the look of this better because it gives a looser look to it. So we're going to E-wrap around to do our purl over. We're going to skip up from the bottom loop, pull our top loop down, just like that. And the whole time we're going to have our yarn. This is the way I do it. Now you may do it a different way. I have my yarn back here between my middle finger and my pointer finger. Okay? Don't pull it tight like this. Lay it down or push it down. Flip your loop over, just like that. And don't snug it up too tight, because if you do, you'll have trouble flipping your next row over. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to alternate those 2 stitches all the way around the loom. As far as you do your flat panel, put it that way, till you get to the end peg, then we're going to U-wrap it. So E-wrap, purl over. E-wrap, purl over. E-wrap you first, then pull it down and flip it over and do your purl over, and then we'll U-wrap that last peg so you have that nice little edge. And my edge turned out fine U-wrapping it. If you want to do a different edging, go for it. Okay, and this will make a beautiful scarf, blanket, whatever you want to make flat panel. It'll just be gorgeous, I think. So let's recap. We slipped the first peg, we E-wrapped, purled over, E-wrapped, purled over, and then our last peg, however long you do your flat panel, I U-wrapped, and if that's what you choose to do, you can U-wrap too. So that's the first row. Now the second row, we're going to do a knit one and a purl over, so we're just going to do the opposite. So we did a knit one, purl over, knit one, purl over. So we're going to slip this one. Since we did a purl over on this last, we're going to do a knit, a U-wrap. an E-wrap. And then this one, we're going to do a purl over. So you're just doing the opposite of what you did your last row. Okay, and you do need to do this pattern on even pegs. I'm sorry I forgot to tell you that. And I'll put that in the description below too. So we knit, purled over, and then we knit here because we purled over last, and then we're going to purl over here. Okay, and I'm going to recap. Okay, so second row, we're going back whichever way you're working, and we're going to do the opposite of what we did the first row. Where you purled over, you're going to knit. Where you knit, you're going to purl over. Okay, till you get to your last peg. All right, that's the second row. Third row, we're going to do a knit one, purl one, the knit being a E-wrap knit stitch. So we're going to E-wrap, and we're going to purl, just a regular purl. So we're going to lay our working yarn below our loop, scoop down, pull that new loop up, take the old loop right here off of the peg, push it down behind your peg, and put your new loop back on. Okay, so it's a knit one, E-wrap knit stitch and a purl, and you're going to alternate those till you get to your last peg. And my last peg is going to be this one, so I'm going to U-wrap. Okay, to recap, and I'll recap again the whole pattern when I get done. We slipped this one, we E-wrapped, purled, E-wrapped, purled, and our last peg we U-wrapped. Okay, row 4, going back, we're going to purl all pegs except for your end pegs. So we slip this one again, and we're just going to purl all these pegs till we get to our last peg. Lost my loop. And that happens sometimes. Put it back on there. And purl, purl, purl. I'm having trouble with my loops today. Well, I think I missed some of my yarn, but that's okay. This is just a tutorial. It doesn't matter. And purl. And then we're going to U-wrap. Okay, so that's row 4. Slip your first stitch, purl all pegs till you get your last stitch, U-wrap. Row 5. We're going to slip this peg, wrap 2 like a big old E-wrap, knit them off, and purl the second peg. Okay. Again, we're going to do the same thing. Wrap 2 pegs as one. So you're coming from your third peg, wrapping around the back side of those 2 pegs. If I can get my yarn in there. Back around the front. And knit them off. And then purl the second peg. And you wrap the last. So you'll repeat that all the way around till you get to your last peg. And then row 6, we're going to purl over all pegs. So except for your end pegs. So we're going to slip this one. And we're going to, I feel like I'm all thumbs today. Purl over. Purl over. Purl over. Purl over. And U-wrap. Okay? So slip, purl over till you get your last peg, and U-wrap. Okay, I'm going to show you. Now just ignore this part right here. I was playing with something else. This is where you can see the stitch. You see that little indentation there, and it looks like it's kind of going downward. like I showed you on the sample. So that's where we did those. I had done a row before here, and then where we did the row here. Okay, so let's recap. I like to recap to make sure everybody understands everything, but you still can ask me questions. It doesn't matter. If you want to ask me questions, put it in the comments below, or message me in my Facebook group, LC Fiber Arts, or you can email me at lcfiberarts or loomingcraftyfiberarts@gmail.com. Okay, row 1, cast on your choice. Row 1, knit 1, purl 1 over. So slip this stitch after you get your cast on. Knit 1, E-wrap knit stitch, purl over. E-wrap knit stitch, purl over, and you'll keep doing that as long as your project is till you get your last peg or your border, whatever you decide to do. And like here, I U-wrap my last peg. Okay, row 2, we're going to knit 1 and then purl over. So we're going to knit 1 here, which is an E-wrap because we purled over last. What you'll be doing is the opposite. Row 2 will be the opposite of what you did of row 1. So if you purled over here, you'll E-wrap knit stitch. Then you'll purl over, E-wrap knit stitch, purl over. Because remember, row 1 here, you E-wrap knit stitch, so it'll be a purl over. But make sure your pegs, you're working with an even amount of pegs or it won't turn out right. And then you wrap your last peg. Row 3, slip, knit 1, E-wrap knit stitch, purl 1. Knit 1, purl 1. Continue that till you get to the end, you wrap your last peg. Row 4, slip, purl all pegs. Purl, 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 you wrap. Row 5, wrap 2, and then wrap 2, knit them off, and then purl peg number 2. So you'll slip, wrap these 2 pegs as one, knit them off, then purl the second peg. And you'll keep doing that around until you get to the end, and then you'll do a U-wrap. Row 6, you're going to slip and then purl over every peg until you get to your last peg. And that is the new mock crochet waffle stitch on the loom. Okay? So, I am going to be doing later on some projects in this stitch. I don't know exactly what yet. I've planned on doing some scarves, some autism awareness scarves, but we'll see. That's what I had planned to do, but I don't know. I've been doing some thinking. We'll talk about that later. And I did post in my LC Fiber Arts group real quick that I'm going to be doing a yarn giveaway. If you want to know what that's about, hop over there. It's on Facebook. It's called LC Fiber Arts. It is a group. I leave the link sometimes down there in my comments, and for some reason it's broken. I don't know if y'all can click on it or not. If it doesn't work for you, please let me know because I need to figure out how to fix it. And I'm also going to be selling some looms, clearing out some of my looms that I'm not using. I posted that in my group, so if you really want to know some things like that that's going on in my group that maybe I might not mention here, you need to go on over and join my group at LC Fiber Arts on Facebook. That's all I have for you today. Hope you have a great one, and take care, be safe. Bye-bye.